Our world is threatened by terrorism, wars, killings, and various vices. Its effects are mostly felt by women and girls. Peace and security is a collective responsibility as it concerns women, girls, men, and boys. Join OneUp on Women of 1325 every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on Women Radio WFM 91.7 as we engage on issues of women, peace, and security. Women of 1325 on Women Radio WFM 91.7.
Alrighty, isn't it a wonderful day on the second day of the month of July to say Happy New Month to you. And yes, while I'm saying Happy New Month, I'm also inviting you to please make history with me today, presenting the program Women of 1325. My name is Melanie Ishola, and of course, today on Women of 1325, we'll be discussing overview of women in peace building. And doing this with me on the program today is Head of Programs of WANEP Nigeria, Patience Ite Obaolo. And yes, to go into the conversation, how would you describe the importance of this resolution to a state like Nigeria?
Oh, okay. Actually, I would like to begin by giving an overview of what the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 is all about for our listening viewers.
Okay.
Because I know out there, quite a number of Nigerians don't have a vivid overview of what the resolution is all about and what it entails. It dates back to the year 20,000, when the United Nations Security Council formally acknowledged through the creation of this resolution that there is a changing nature of conflict in which women are particularly the ones who are being affected. And in this regard, there was a need to target them and see what they can do with regards to building peace in their community. In other words, that men should no longer be the only ones on the siding table. Women should no longer be excluded from participating in those processes that ensure that within their community there is peace. In that regard, the United Nations Security Council sat together and they came up with this resolution that reaffirms that peace and security efforts are more sustainable when women are equal partners with men in preventing violent conflict, in ensuring relief and recovery efforts, in ensuring reintegration and rehabilitation efforts within communities. This will ensure more lasting peace within the community as a whole.
Okay. Now, what you have said is to set the tone for the conversation, to be able to help somebody listening for the first time. Okay. What exactly is the UN 1325, and why is Women Radio WFM 91.7 actually doing this, bringing on a program called Women of 1325? And of course, it is great to say that this is an initiative of OneUp Nigeria. And yes, it is great to also begin to query this conversation in different dimensions to say that, for starters, that women, in peace building, actually have a lot of effort to put in to ensure that the rights of women are actually protected. Now, it's said that women are natural peacemakers or peacekeepers, if you would like to say. And of course, it requires a holistic approach to ascertain peace building by women, because it's said that women would naturally take into consideration the safety of others, not just women, for example, children, and yes, invariably men. All right. Now, having stated that, it would be great, again, Patience, to have you take this conversation further this afternoon by, explaining exactly so far in a place like Nigeria, and of course taking a look at the northern Nigeria specifically, what roles you have seen women undertake in the clamor for peace building in that region.
Particularly, we can see presently the terrain in northern Nigeria is very volatile at the moment, and with issues of violent extremism and of recent the Fulani herdsmen. Women particularly are the ones that, as earlier stated, are the ones that bear the brunt of conflict. They are the ones that perceive most times the initiation of this conflict, but are unable to tell the signs, unable to know whom to reach out to. Even if they identify early warning signs of violence, who do they reach out to report these signs? So in a place like northern Nigeria, women have a vital role to play when they are trained, when their capacities are built, to be able to identify what can really instigate conflict, what can really bring about conflict within their local communities. And like One Earth Nigeria, I will have a brief on what we do. We aim at promoting peace within local communities in Nigeria. And we work from 5 thematic areas, one of which is Women in Peacebuilding program. This program particularly seeks to ensure opportunities are given to women, even at the local level, to ensure participation in peace building within their communities. Yes. That's one of the program areas that we engage in.
Okay.
Like other program areas that we do, like peace education, the conflict prevention program, democracy and good government, then our research and publication and documentation department. So we show that even in places like Northern Nigeria, which we have an ongoing program presently, we try to build capacity of community women to be confident enough to come out and speak on the signs, the early warning signs they see within their local communities that trigger conflict, or telling them that there is an inbuilt of an insurgency group here or network here, and they are able to report to the relevant authorities.
All right. Thank you very much, Patience. So a lot has been said on exactly the level that women are involved in peacekeeping or peace building in Nigeria. And of course, what One Earth Nigeria has done so far with the northern women. Now, One Earth is West African Network for Peace Building, and of course, I have been talking to Patience Ikpe Obaulo, and yes, she is the project coordinator. And of course, we have a lot more to still interrogate on the program. If you're just joining, you're listening to Women of 1325, and yes, this is your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. My name is Melanie Ishola. Very shortly, the phone lines will be open, and of course, you'll get to be a part of this conversation. Now, Patience, so I understand from what you have said that you have engaged different women to build their capacity so that they can become very useful tools in ensuring peace, especially in the northern Nigeria, in the case of Nigeria. Now, I understand that there must have been certain challenges, and of course, from what I gathered, my question would be, why has involving women proven a bit challenging and almost impossible, okay, if there are substantive reasons for including women, which there are, as you've stated, and their rights in peace and security processes, and of course also the research demonstrates positive outcomes from the inclusion of women. So, for starters, why does this then prove challenging, getting women to actually, commit to their own safety and security and deliverance, if you may say?
Actually, as we are all aware, the African terrain, just like Nigeria is very patriarchal.
Yeah.
Most times we believe that women should be seen and not heard. That is why you have men-dominated groups and you have men mainly on decision-making tables. So if these women are said to be within the community, they should just be there and not be heard. So until you are able to let the women know that you have a place to be in the community, you have a voice which you need to project, they remain at the doldrum. They are timid. They are afraid to come forth, even though they have useful information to be able to relay to the men-dominated groups. That is why most times you go into a community or into a place, the women folks are there with relevant information, they are able to speak because they have been kept at a place whereby they are unable to protect the concerns they have, unable to protect their interests, unable to protect key issues that even affect their well-being.
Okay, that's very clear from your explanation. So, yes, you've been hearing Patience Ikpe Obaulo, and of course the conversation today has been about looking at the overview of women in peace building. Yes, you're going to be joining the conversation very shortly. I'll be opening the phone lines. But now, as we are building into the conversation, again, Patience. Now, between 1990 and 2017, statistics has it that women constitute only 2% of mediators, 8% of negotiators, and 5% of witnesses and signatories in all major peace processes around the world. But what would you ascribe as to being the overwhelming factor for these low figures beyond the patriarchy that you have identified in our society? I think this even goes beyond an African factor. It's a worldwide resolution where women are being sought to actually bring about peace. So, I mean, what would you ascribe to be responsible for the overwhelmingly low figures of women involvement?
Lack of acknowledgement by men that women are able to participate in issues like peace and security. Because these issues are only meant for the men who are able to sit down there and deliberate. That is why.
Could it be a case of bigotry where they just do not want to accept other people's perceptions and views?
Exactly. Exactly. That also plays a role. So even though we have women, with capacity, most men believe they don't have the knowledge to participate. That is why the need for continuous capacity building, the need for continuous education on peace building mechanisms and peace building strategies.
Okay, thank you very much. Studio time has now come to 25 minutes past 3. And yes, this is your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. We'd like to have contributions now. Yes, get on your phones. And of course, let's talk about this issue of women participation in peace building in Nigeria. What we're talking today is the overview of what is operational, what you can find out there when it comes to women involvement in peace building. And of course, do not forget that I have been talking this afternoon with Patience Ike Obaulu, and she's the head of program, WANEP. WANEP is West African Network for Peace Building. I would look at the northern Nigeria in different ways. For example, I want to look at issues like the farmer herdsman crisis, and I want to look at another issue of insurgency, of, if you would like, terrorism, and I also want to look at the recent, banditry that has been parading itself, in the north. Of course, to talk about states like Katsina and a couple of other northern states like that. Now, my question would then be, because women get affected the most in crisis situations or cases of war and the rest of that, I'd like to take a simple case study of the IDPs that has become a necessity in cases of insurgency or terrorism, or the farmer headers, clashes in the northeast, and of course, if you look at the north central state of Benue, for example. Now, in all of these, all right, we've found out that it's been reported almost every time in the news how the rights of women are being trampled upon, and of course, even sometimes you look at cases of lack of adequate provision, all right, to cater to the women in this situation. So I'd like to know what your organization has contributed with regards to the gender sensitivity of provisions made available to people who have found themselves, especially women, in IDP camps, for starters.
Okay, actually, I would like to lay hand on a specific project, because it's been nice for our viewers to know that WANEP is consistently on the field.
Okay.
And last year, if we are all aware, in January 1, there was a conflict that erupted in Benue State in two local governments of Logo and Guma, which over 100 persons were killed. It was a farmer headers crisis, and a lot of IDPs were encountered in the course of this conflict, which was spread in over 9 camps in Benue State. During this time, WANEP was able to intervene in this particular situation. We were able to mobilize the women within the other local government areas in Benue State through our Women in Peace Building program in Makodi. And the women were able to have a non-violent peace march calling for peace in Benue State. The women in all local government areas, they were able to unite and have a peace march, stating categorically that either so they had been living at peace with their Fulani neighbors, and all of a sudden the eruption in violence, which was not necessary. And they marched the streets of Makurdi right down to the government house, and a communique was issued to the government calling on the state government to try within its powers to ensure that peace is restored in Benue State. Aside that, we also visited 5 of the IDP camps, which took the women's stories raw. We saw the women and we heard from them what the situation of things were and what their basic needs were. This we have documented in a book titled The Stories of the Women in Benue State.
Do not forget that you're listening to Women of 1325. My name is Melanie Ishola, and today we'll be talking or taking a look at an overview of women in peace building in Nigeria. And do not forget that this program is an initiative of WANEP Nigeria. WANEP is West African Network for Peace Building, and His Patience has done a lot to explain to us exactly what the impact and the activities of WANEP Nigeria, has been on the fields, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Now, she was sharing with us exactly what was done last year in the case of Benue, and of course, last year actually saw the very a different turn to the issue of farmer headers crisis in Nigeria, especially with Benue State almost at the center of almost every news piece that you can find on farmer headers crisis. Now, we've taken the conversation to different directions, and of course, it's great to have you join us today. Share with us your experience with regards to women involvement in keeping peace in Nigeria. We stream live on www.wfm917.com. So you get to listen to us from many parts of the world, and using the hashtag Women of 1325 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you get to connect with us. Drop your comments there, your contributions there, and we can pick them up and use for the purpose of this program. Our handle is at WFM917 across all social media platforms. Now, with me again is Patience. So far, you've tried to explain to us the concept of women involvement in peace building, and of course the impact that has been generated so far by WANEP. And yes, we have made a case study, according to you, of the issues in Benue State last year. But I'd like to again look in another direction, all right? To say that beyond them doing a march, peaceful demonstrations and all of this, what more can women do to contribute to peace conversations, discussions, and peace achievements around the world?
Women can always voice out. There are so many social media platforms now available. They need not confine themselves to traditional media. They can always voice out on these issues happening within their community, and above all, get the necessary skills which is needed for them to effectively have a say when issues of peace and security emerges within their community. Sorry, I like to go back to what is ongoing now in Benue, because for us it's really, really a huge opportunity for us to be able to have women's voices on the table within the local government and also at the state level. We are continuously involved in improving opportunities for civil society organizations within Benue State to try to see how they can build capacity of community women to involve in peace building issues even at the local community. So that Fulani person, individual, they either two were living with, if there is a way they can reconnect, they can talk and see what can be done within the local community to ensure that peace is restored rather than going the violent way of killings and burning down of houses.
Okay. Okay, well, that's well understood. Thank you very much, Patience. But I'm looking at what you just explained, and there is an angle I'd like us to both query. For example, that we have women come together at the table with maybe men and other stakeholders to bring about peace. Some people would say that the fact that you have women at the table may not necessarily mean that women are actually out there to represent the rights of women. So how do we guarantee that the right women are at the table? By the right women, the women who understand the place of gender inclusivity and who are able to, as a result, galvanize the interests of women and get them represented and protected.
Actually, that's a very, very huge task. We, civil society organization, we always say consultations matter a lot. Don't just go out there and pick any woman. You should be able to go through a process whereby civil society organizations who are particularly involved in peace building, what have been done with which kind of women should be picked or should be used within a community. When that series of conversations, that line is opened, the people should be able to know the right kind of women to pick because they've made consultations and they are aware of those that have been trained and those that have adequate knowledge and will have the interest of other women at heart through various programs they have been put through and mentoring.
Okay, yes, that's very key, and as you have said, it's important to know that at the end of the day, as much as it is women issues and bringing women to talk about it, the quality of women will also matter. You're listening to Women of 13 to under 5. This is Women Radio, WFM 91.7. And of course, it is the debut of the program. And yes, my guest today is Patience Ike Obaolu. Now, why it is important to get the right set of women at the table of negotiations and discussions. I think it is also important to know why rights of women are important, all right? So I'd like for you to just share why it is important that women are protected in areas of conflict, in areas of crisis. I won't particularly say war. I would just say in areas of uprisings, as we have in the northern part of Nigeria.
Actually, in conflict settings, women need to be protected because they are the most vulnerable, aside children. They are vulnerable when it comes to issues of violence, and most times they are the ones that are the violence. Because when them to work in the community, the men can run. When people are cutlasses and begin to fight. But you expect the woman to do that. Women are the ones who are raped. Women are the ones who are sexually molested. Women are the ones who are most times are left behind to be killed. And at the end of the day, even when the aftermath of war, they're the ones who are left behind to take care of the aged ones. And when husbands have been killed, to become invariably the heads of households. So you now see the vulnerability of women in conflict. That is why it is essential that their rights are upheld and they are protected in conflict-prone communities or areas.
Thank you very much once again, Patience. So, yes, you're listening to Women of 13 to under 5. Yes, the numbers to call once again, 07000 917 917 or 9025 625455. I would like to hear from you exactly what you think can be done differently in ensuring that women's rights are heard, yes, in issues or areas of conflict in Nigeria, and also to ensure that the issues that are very pertinent and, of course, important to women are protected and are seen as very important. What will your contribution be? I'm waiting to hear from you. Once again, 07000 917 917 or 9025 625455. Yes, this program is an initiative of OneUp Nigeria. OneUp is West African Network for Peacebuilding. Now, Patience, I'd like for you quickly to, just share with me how you would describe the progress that has been made so far, especially by your own contribution, your organization's contribution in this fight, in ensuring gender parity and mainstreaming of women in peace and security. How would you describe the progress made?
Nigeria is a large country, as we are all aware.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when it covers the entire 6 states, so we have network members, which are civil society organizations across the 6 states in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And our network members are NSP in the field, trying to see in their own capacity how they can promote peace using women, working with youth within schools. That is a peacebuilding program from our structures. Mechanisms and programs to ensure that within the communities, particularly at the local level where pockets of this conflict emanate, that peace building structures, mechanisms are put in place. But as the day unfolds, we have different security threats that engulf the country. So in our own capacity, we don't intervene where the conflict is hot. What we try to do is to build capacity to ensure that even before the conflict erupts, it is nipped in the bud. When it erupts, what can be done to ensure that there is restoration of peace within the community, working with different stakeholders, especially women and security agencies. So in our own capacity, we have worked with different groups in Nigeria to ensure that peace is restored in communities, particularly our...
Yes, I'd like to interject your Patience for this call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Mr.
Let's have a contribution.
Thank you very much. The information I want to make is that anything in Nigeria can be put except anything will turn against those Fulani men before it will work. If you take over the recovery, Nigeria did not obey women. Anything in Nigeria will not obey the women. So they give it out. So the government will start the government take action over that before they will hear. Without that, nobody will listen to the women. It is only outside countries that obey women. In Nigeria, here we don't obey women. We don't feel like people who understand. So that's what's happening in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I think, Patience, if you would agree, I think what he has identified again here is patriarchy at play, to say that women are not, listened to. Okay, we'll get back to that again before we make a wrap on the program. So let's have your thoughts, all right? You were saying something before I interjected you, Patience.
Yes, I was actually making mention that we have a particular program we call the Conflict Prevention Program in OneUp, Nigeria, in which we try to establish early warning and response mechanisms, and we ensure that we get warnings from our network member, early signs of conflict, and relay them to relevant authorities like the SS, like the police, like we work with all those security apparatus, so that they are able to understand what is happening within communities. And we also have a link with the ECOWAS early warning system at the regional level, which we call the ECO1 program. These are relevant structures that we have within OneUp to work with relevant stakeholders and intergovernmental agencies to ensure that conflict is prevented within communities. So we're not just seated, but in diverse areas, working with different stakeholders, we are trying to ensure that these issues that erupt by the day are being reported by those who are particularly at the grassroots, what the key issues are, and what could be the possible recommendations to ensure that peace is being restored. We, not just our views, but the views from those at the grassroots level, trying to promote peace and relay them to the relevant authorities.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And I love the fact that this is like a grassroots effort to ensure that the very people that are in need of this peace are the ones that are being engaged to get the peace. Now, a popular saying is that peace isn't the absence of war, but the presence of justice. I will be concerned, really, because to look at an IDP arrangement would be to say that already there is an anomaly, as opposed to normal people's settlements. Now, in IDP camps, we've heard stories of moral deprivations and the rest of that, where women are major victims of such, from sexual assault to rape and the rest of that, all manner of bullies and abusers. Now, I'd like to know, based on the involvement of ONEP, as you have said, you have field agents and officers who are ensuring that there is actually, continuous engagement of women in developing their capacities and all of this. What mechanism is in place to ensure that there is justice gotten for women who are actually, whose rights are being trampled upon in those situations and settings?
Actually, in those situations, we actually engage in education of relevant security agencies, or things like gender-based violence education. And to let them know that issues of rape, issues of sexual molestations are unacceptable. And within police stations and within these camps, we have gender decks in which men can report their stories and report incidences within the IDP camps. Likewise, since we work as a network and we have network members within this state, we link them up with our network members who are engaged in issues of gender-based violence and have, some of them have relief homes they can afford to stay, or equally get things like counseling, psychosocial counseling in particular periods, so that they are able to relieve and tell their stories.
Okay, thank you very much, Patience. My question would be, they say most cases these issues are underreported. So I am wondering how you are encouraging what you're doing with regards to educating the women on what it means, how their stories matter, to ensure that we get all of the stories, at least, as much as possible, so that we can know the weight of this problem at hand and be able to use the right tools to get, a solution, which in this case is justice. Yes, if you're just joining, the program is Women of 1325. My name is Melanie Ishola. I've been speaking with Patience Obaolu. Do not forget that this program is an initiative of ONEP Nigeria, and ONEP is West African Network for Peacebuilding. Patience is the head of programs, ONEP Nigeria. Now, a lot's been said on the program today, and it was great to have our first caller on the debut edition of the program, Women of 1325. Wouldn't you rather call us too, and let's know what you know or what contribution you have to actually help us achieve peace in regions that are at crisis in Nigeria. Numbers again to call 07000 917 917 09025 625455. As I said earlier, you can drop a text. The number is 07031 75 6537. Yes, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WFM917, and we stream live, whereby you get to listen to us from any part of the world on www.WFM917.com. Studio time now has come to 12 minutes before the top of the hour 4. And there's so much to still touch on before we make a wrap on our very first episode of the program, Women of 1325. I must say a big thank you, however, to Patience for bringing to bear a lot of issues that it's are not known to Nigerians. Now, having explained so much, there is something I want to touch on, which I'd like your contribution on. Now, you spoke about the involvement of grassroots people, and in my head or at the back of my mind, I'm thinking families. Now, we're taught that the family is an agent of socialization. We have about 4 or 5 agents of socialization in our society, and in conflict prevention, as you said, that you're trying to even see situations where these conflicts don't even come up, not to even talk about trying to now solve, the conflicts when they erupt. How do you then think within the family unit the women can reposition, reprogram, all right, every member of their families? Because when you look at it, the perpetrators of these ills, all right, in our society today come from a particular family. So how do you think women can be instrumental, all right, to repositioning, reprogramming their family members, children, husbands, relatives, all right, to ensure that we are able to, make peace reign in our society?
I would like to answer your question with a vivid explanation or a vivid example, so that you're able to see the impact of what our programs have been able to create in some communities that we are building.
Okay.
Because I must tell you that we've seen physical impacts on the lives of women, and we've been able to touch lives in different forms.
Again, I'm reiterating, it is the debut, and I have not given you any secret to actually celebrate the debut of Women of 1325 on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Well, you can call that the popping of my champagne for the first episode ever of Women of 1325, and I think the conversation been quite educated and enlightening at the same time. Because for me, what you don't know, you don't know, and as they say, that realities differ. So for a lot of people in this part of the country, in this geopolitical zone, they get to define certain realities with what they see and know. It's good to actually have the accounts of those who are on the field and who are trying to foster peace in some ways, to know exactly what's going on in other regions of the country. So again, I have Patience on the line. Once again, good afternoon, Patience. Yeah, so I'd like to have you continue your story,
Okay, I was trying to bear the impact of what women can play within the family unit.
Okay.
To ensure even the young ones in their midst are able to embrace a culture of peace rather than violence. So I go back to my story. So we had a training workshop for the women within their communities. And the course of the type-based training, skills such as dialogue, mediation, negotiation, which are major conflict resolution skills, were trained on. And the women were educated on how they can be able to utilize these skills within their homes and immediate environment. At the end of the workshop, a woman walked up to us to relay the impact of the workshop on her. The workshop began. Her young son, within the ages of 16 to 20, oftentimes comes back late in the night and keeps his doors closed, the doors to his room, which was not like that either. The training she had to, in a particular morning, to open the door and go in. When she went in, right under the bed was a gun. So in that regard, what would she have done? The training on dialogue, when she got back home, she was forced to wait for the young boy to come back late into the night and called him and began to talk. Prior to the training, she was a violent person. Her character was a yelling type. She often yelled on her children. She shouts on them. There was no communication. The communication gap was very eminent. But with the training on how to communicate, effective communication, she was able to sit down with her son, talk with him, and let him know, I saw this and this in your room. It's very unlike you. What are you doing with a pistol? And after talk with him, he broke down and had to tell her, please, this and this is what the youth are planning in the community. It was on that regard, Chief, let him know that it is not violence that is the answer. What is the answer to the quest you're looking out for is peace. And there are different ways you can go about it. That was how the next day she was able to let us know what the problem was. And immediately we told her, you cannot apprehend him. What we need to do is to report the relevant authorities. That can be resolved and that eminent conflict can be nipped in the bud. So these are particular impacts of the training that we've had from participants at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much, Patience. Your inputs have actually helped to make the right kind of history on the program today. Because of time, we're going to be drawing the curtains on the program today. And of course, as I said, Patience Ipe Obaulu is the head of programs OneUp. OneUp is West African network for women in Peacebuilding, and of course she's been able to explain to us in different regards today the impact that has been generated so far by virtue of the involvement of OneUp Nigeria in the field, all right, trying to ensure that peace reigns in Nigeria. Once again, thank you very much for joining me on the program today.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to have been on the program.
Thank you very much. All right, so yes, we spoke on overview of women in peace building. That's the topic today, and do not forget, it is the first edition, or what you may call debut of the program Women of 1325. Now, the conversation goes on beyond what we've had today on social media. And yes, we need you to know that this program comes up every Tuesday at this time, which is 3 p.m. And of course, it is an initiative of OneUp Nigeria. Now, for what's been said today, it's great to make a wrap on the program by saying that the situation of women in Nigeria during conflict is pathetic. Women endure sexual violence, involuntary pregnancies, they're forced to flee their homes, fend for themselves and families. And women also suffer from a post-traumatic stress disorder and psychological consequences of conflict, which may be from lack of support, lack of food, presence of insecurity, and a lot more. Now, this narrative and conditions set aside for women welcomes the need for an action plan. Hence, women have got to take a deliberate and precise effort to unite and put an end to the violation of our rights, and also ensuring full participation in peace negotiations and peace building. It is against this backdrop that the Women of 1325, the program has come to provide a framework for the protection of women and inclusion of gender perspective in peace building activities. Now, do not forget that Women of 1325 holds every Tuesday on your Women Radio WFM 91.7 by 3 p.m. So I'm expecting that you would tell your friend to tell their friends, and as they sometimes say, maybe also their enemies. Now, Women of 1325 is sponsored by OneUp, which is West African Network for Peace Building, with support from the Norwegian Agency for Development Corporation, NORAD, and also, while not forgetting, WIPNET, which is Women in Peace Building Network. Yes, making a date with me, making a date with the team that brings Women of 1325 to you. Same time, same station next week, Tuesday. Let's give peace a chance. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.